you traders, welcome to IFC Markets. You are watching weekly market overview by IFC Markets on YouTube channel. Let's start. The US dollar has shown the best performance in the previous week. The dollar index rose by 0.7%. Thus, the dynamics of the European currencies, the pound, the franc and the euro was much less negative than the path of commodity currencies, the Australian dollar, the Canadian dollar and the Japanese yen. The Australian dollar, which lost 2%, became the leader in falling. Already at the beginning of the last week, risk appetite diminished after the release of China's GDP data for the first quarter. The second world economy expanded by 7.7%, compared with 7.9% in the previous quarter, and the expectations of an 8% increase. Then the Reserve Bank of Australia meeting minutes showed the regulator left door open for further policy easing. Both factors are strongly negative for the Australian dollar. Another factor reducing the risk appetite was the IMF report, in which the forecasts of economic growth were lowered. Globally, in the current year, IMF sees growth at 3.3% instead of January's 3.5%. The US economy will grow by 1.9% instead of 2.1%. For the Eurozone, the picture is even worse. The decline is projected to be of 0.3%. In this regard, the risk of the euro of a rate cut by the ECB is also increased. Thus, a member of the Governing Council of the ECB and the President of Bundesbank 𝗫𝗫 Weidmann said last week that the interest rate may be reduced if economic data remain weak. In addition, an important risk factor continues to be political uncertainty in Italy, which has been unsuccessful in forming a government for 2 months. Let's turn to the indicators of the market sentiment. According to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, participants in the futures market significantly increased the net short speculative position on the Japanese yen last week. Net short positions on European currencies, especially on the euro, have notably reduced. The reduction of the net long positions on the Australian dollar is also significant, which however remains the only one among the 6 major currencies holding net long position against the US dollar. This week, a number of interesting events are expected. Manufacturing and services PMI in the Eurozone on Tuesday, inflation in Australia on Wednesday, first quarter GDP in the UK on Thursday. Finally, on Friday, the inflation data in Japan will be released. The meeting of the Bank of Japan will end, followed by a press conference, and in the evening, the US GDP figures for the first quarter will be published. Analytical department of IFC Markets is still expecting a reversal for European currencies against the US dollar, in favor of the latter. The euro is below resistance levels 1.3120 and 1.3230, forming a reversal pattern in direct support for the euro dollar, associated with a heavy selling of the Japanese yen on the crosses, might be not enough to maintain growth of the euro dollar. From our point of view, if the PMI data on Tuesday is disappointing, the euro can go to the 200-day moving average around 1.29. The dynamics of the dollar-franc pair as well shows a possible upward reversal in favor of the dollar. The British pound met resistance at 1.54, but the key risk for the currency is the GDP data on Thursday. They are expected to be better than in the previous quarter. A growth of 0.1% after a fall of 0.3%, but in this regard the risk of not meeting market expectations is increasing. The popularity of monetary expansion among the governing board members of the Bank of England is not growing yet. But if the data disappoint, once again we can see the pound below 1.50. The Japanese yen is likely to retest the mark of 100, followed by a 4.5-year high of 101.43. The participants of the G20 summit held last week did not show their displeasure regarding the radical policy of the Bank of Japan, which caused a significant decline in the rate of the yen. Instead, the group only announced that it will closely monitor the side effects of the massive monetary stimulus measures. As a result, new horizons are opened for the growth of the pair. Weekly market overview of IFC markets was with you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us every Tuesday. Bye.